Hello there, everybody, and welcome Unity on they on something, and we're about to find out what. Maybe it's some strong stuff.
I briefly mentioned the situation with Unity a few days ago, just as a tiny little blurb, basically a cameo appearance in a Marvel movie. I just kind of went over like the very basics of everything going wrong with Unity. But things have only gotten worse since then, so I just want to make a whole video here going over the entire situation and kind of dancing on Unity's grave, because they did it to themselves. Now, of course, they're not actually dead yet, but they are doing everything in their power to put themselves
They're
in the
going to die.
dirt. They are
They're going to switch
bent
to
on self-destruction, and nothing will stop them. It's like a scene out of 24,
what's it
with
called?
Jack Bauer interrogating a terrorist and
The
they're doing
Epic
everything
Engine.
they can to take the cyanide pill to end it all. That's Unity as a business right now. So a channel called Upper Echelon just released an incredible video going over all of the new information about this situation, so I'm going to show you some clips of that, as well as just give you the broader stuff as well, just in case you're unfamiliar with all of it. This is going to be an all-encompassing biblical smackdown of everything Unity related.
Unity Technologies, a video game software company responsible for making the Unity game engine, has recently adjusted their fee structure. On top of a flat subscription service, they will now charge game developers per install, with retroactive terms of service changes, and that monetization scheme will have a severe negative impact on a great deal of projects.
In a nutshell, that's where all of this disaster stems from. He has just given you the macaroni, so allow me to give you the cheese. Unity made a big announcement about a change to their monetization model where if you reach a certain level of success with their product, they will then start dipping their greedy, grubby little paws into your pockets and take a little piece for themselves out. So, if you're using Unity Personal and Unity Plus, you're eligible for this fee once you reach 200k in revenue over the last 12 months and have 200k lifetime installs, and that number increases to 1 million in 12 months and 1 million installs when you're using Pro or Enterprise. So basically, they will start taking money, and it's dictated how much at each level, per install of a game once it...
What the hell? My internet crash? My internet did crash. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know what to do. Hold on. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, why did it crash? That's fucking weird. Aren't they? Why is it saying no internet? And then I'm checking the website and it's saying no outages. So, hey yo, nigga, you better connect yourself right now. Hold on, I'll be right back. I gotta go check the living room real quick. I guess it's back, but like my stream ended, so. Oh, reconnection successful? So did it? No, it still ended. Whatever.
It reaches this threshold. Now, there is no faith in this company left, like there's nothing but bad will, so no one really has any faith that they have any means of detecting fraudulent downloads. A lot of people were very quick to point out that you could absolutely fuck someone in the face by just constantly reinstalling these games on like virtual machines or pirated copies, but Unity's like, no, we've solved everything. Actually, piracy is extinct now. We'll know if that's happening. but no one believes them because it's very hard to take them at their word when they have no good faith left.
I don't know why my internet crashed like
there
that, though.
is
That's weird.
potential for this to be exploited in a big way where you could cost companies or individuals tons and tons and tons of money just by gamifying this fee. And it's not like Unity really has an incentive to stop that because they're making the money off of that fee. That's money going into their piggy bank. So heavens to Betsy, sports fans, you tell me why the fuck would they patch out this infinite money exploit when they're the ones that benefit from it? But anyway, this is the big bang that created the universe of problems for Unity here and started all of the hoopla with this entire catastrophe. The best way I've seen it described is, imagine if Adobe started to put up a big stink about YouTubers using their product. Like, imagine Adobe comes out and says, you know what, we've arbitrarily decided that YouTubers that reach a certain threshold of views are going to be subject to a fee because they use Adobe Premiere to edit. So, Mr. Beast, for example. Mr. Beast will now start paying X amount of dollars per view because he edited his content with Adobe. It should be pretty clear why that is an extremely scummy and ridiculous idea. And that's fundamentally what Unity's doing here. People paid for the tools. They made their own games with those tools. Adobe, now I'm getting lost in my own fucking genjutsu here, the fantasy I've crafted. Unity should not be entitled for a fee per install on the games that people make if they're successful. Yeah, that's literally suffering from success.
We already know about John Ricciello, however you say that, the CEO. He sold a bit of his stock right before this all happened. He was the former CEO at EA Games.
John Ricciello, more like John Sissy-Tiello, because he's a little bitch.
Yeah, he knew.
Man, what a humdinger. If Unity wasn't dead before this video, they're definitely dead after this one, because that was an absolute heater. So anyway, their CEO is John Ricciello, however you say it. I also don't know. Upper Echelon is about to get into the meat of the new discoveries, but I want to continue laying the foundation for all of the prerequisite knowledge that you should have coming into the new stuff. So, their CEO is a very important component to this entire controversy. He is a former EA employee, former EA CEO,
of course,
who was too greedy for EA. Let that sink in for a
moment. Too greedy for EA is crazy.
Juices. Let that percolate.
That's actually insane.
Someone was too greedy.
That's actually crazy.
EA, and it's this cartoon villain here. This goofball is the mayor of Doofus Town. I don't know how this clown keeps landing prestigious positions. In 2011, during a stockholder meeting, he said, when you're 6 hours into playing Battlefield and you run out of ammo in your clip and we ask you for $1 to reload, you're really not that price sensitive at that point in time. So he's using this as a gold standard example of successful monetization, where you're deep into Battlefield, you're in the middle of doing something, and then bang, we flash a jump scare on screen that says you need to give us $1 if you want to reload right now. And he believes most players would relent and just give them the $1 because they are actively doing something and now have to pay in order to keep doing it. It's beyond evil. It is remarkably greedy. He also fell into some hot water last year where he called developers fucking idiots if they didn't focus on monetization.
I've seen this.
This dusty, crusty, abominable zombie only treats the games industry as a means to put the squeeze on consumers and hose them for every single dollar they have to their name. It's not surprising to see the direction Unity's going with this goofball at the helm. But what is surprising is the fact that John Ricciello keeps landing powerful positions in the industry.
How does he do that?
He is not good at his job. His ideas are atrocious. He is a money repellent. EA couldn't even act on his advice because it was so over-the-top Looney Tunes level evil greed. He does not succeed as a leader. All he does is lead companies to fucking ruin, like reputational ruin, with what he's doing with Unity now. He just sinks the ship with terrible business ideas. I don't know how he even got the Unity CEO role. So now that's the basic lore rundown.
What did he think was going to happen? Everybody was just going to agree with what he said?
Now, as Upper Echelon briefly mentioned there, this guy also sold a pretty substantial amount of Unity stock right before this announcement came out. Which, you know, hey, I'm not the feds here, I'm not the authorities, but to me, in my little caveman brain, that sounds a little bit like insider trading. There's no way this guy is dumb enough to have not realized the backlash that would ensue from this. and he happened to dump quite a bit of stock right before making the announcement. That's a little peculiar, don't you think? But anyway, maybe just complete coincidence, perhaps.
Nah.
But who's this guy? Tomar Barziv. Credit where credit is due. Tugging on this thread is the result of a post on r/unity from a user named Zijit. I'll link to that down below. Tomar Barziv is on the board of directors at Unity, but he is also the CEO of a company called ironSource.
ironSource is a company that merged with Unity to the tune of $4.4 billion. ironSource is a business that fundamentally focuses on monetizing developers' apps. And this merger was actually pretty controversial because a lot of users had reported some shady things with the ironSource platform and alleged that there was malware, there was adware bundled with certain things, just a lot of claims that were pretty alarming. Eventually, ironSource coped by saying, like, hey, it was just some bad actors who, abused the platform. And so this merger already was pretty sour in terms of its reception due to all of these past experiences that users were alleging.
But it turns out that when you go down the list of Unity insiders who are selling stock in the company, this guy is by far the most aggressive. Over the past year alone, according to Fintel, it appears that Tomar Barziv has sold upwards of $20 million in Unity stock, which is interesting to say the very least.
20 million clams, huh? That is very interesting, I'd say. Now, of course, this isn't like the most unheard of thing ever with, insiders selling stock, right? But the volume that he's selling, especially in comparison to the others, the frequency, and just his position within the company all makes this a very interesting case of selling 20 million doubloons worth of your
FBI investigate
stock here.
First, at the same time as this $4.4 billion deal or merger was taking place, a company called AppLovin made a competing offer to buy out Unity completely for $20 billion. But Unity rejected this deal.
Wait, who tried to buy them?
Was taking place. A company called AppLovin made a competing offer to buy out Unity completely for $20 billion. But Unity rejected this deal, citing that the deal, quote, would not reasonably be expected to result in a superior proposal.
Upper Echelon goes on to say that he finds it odd that they rejected that, considering the $20 billion offer is pretty significantly above the market cap at the time. But he did say that with the AppLovin deal, Unity would have been dropped to 49%, so there is complications to it. But this is an important piece of the puzzle here with everything going on, because Upper Echelon expands a bit further into the merger with ironSource, which was significantly less than they would have got than if they went with AppLovin. So there is a bit of a head-scratcher to it, but Upper Echelon is diving deep in here and picking out all the breadcrumbs and getting to the truth.
During the deal with ironSource, two investment companies, Sequoia Capital and Silver Lake, pledged to come on board with $1 billion invested in the deal itself. Two more people, one from each of those companies, joined Unity's board of directors, Egon Durbin and Rolaf Botha, these nuts. Starting with Egon Durbin, he is a founding principal and managing director at Silver Lake, which it now appears, I shit you not, has sold the entirety of their directly held remaining stock in Unity Technologies, disclosed as of yesterday.
Casually sliding in that D's nuts moment was spectacular. Really appreciated. So, important takeaways here is after the ironSource merger with Unity, two new people get added to the board, and they're both some pretty shady individuals as well. One of them, Egon, actually dumps all of his held Unity stock, which was disclosed yesterday, apparently. And it's at this point Upper Echelon drags us kicking and screaming into the light. We're able to take a look at this septic tank for what it really is, full of shit.
Sinking ship.
These two new characters come on board, and Upper Echelon examined their connections. And Egon, in particular, had a notable past where he was pretty tight with Tesla, especially during that whole boogeyman moment where Tesla might go private, that whole thing that floated around a few years ago. And overall, both of these two new members of the board at Unity both seem very enthusiastic about this modern tech trend to charge out the wazoo for API access. Twitter made a change to their pricing model for API access not too long ago. Reddit most recently made a change to their pricing model for API access, which was actually the catalyst for the Reddit blackout that many of you might remember. God rest the souls of all the accounts that went offline for 48 hours. Basically, the new tech trend is these massive corporations charging a lot of money for API access, and Upper Echelon draws this parallel with the way Unity's pricing model reflects the API pricing models for Twitter and Reddit. And given the connections of the two new members that joined the board, Botha and Durbin, it isn't far-fetched to assume that this is the direction Unity wants to go, to follow in line with those models, which is bad. That is bad for everybody in the communities. The API changes on Twitter and Reddit were wildly detrimental to a lot of different things, and the Unity changes are also extremely detrimental to a lot of different things. It is a bad thing, but it actually gets worse.
Here's a much better visualization of what's actually happening from a user named Sososki on Twitter. The yellow indicates the portion of developers who will now lose between 10 and 25% of their revenue with Unity's new terms of service. The orange, they stand to lose between 25 and 50% of their revenue. Red can lose between 50 and 100%. And that scary black line off to the left, not huge, but it is there. That's the area where these new terms will bankrupt your company because Unity decided to charge you more money per install than your app is even making.
There's no way Unity didn't do math. There's no way this user put more work into analyzing this than the company did making this decision.
It would be like, okay, guys, we're switching to Epic. We're just gonna remake the game on Epic tools with Epic engine and all that. So don't worry about it. We're not working with Unity no more. We're shutting down the game. Can they do that?
This is something that under no circumstances should have ever flown. Period. Because there's no world where you as the company should bankrupt the people using your product because they're succeeding when using your product. It's nonsensical. Now, I realize I didn't answer this in the beginning, but there is a lot of confusion. They are changing the policy, but it doesn't mean that the companies that use Unity for their games are retroactively responsible to pay for the installs that people have already done prior to this new agreement. It's going forward. So yes, the rules change, but it doesn't enforce retroactively for payment. Though a lot of terms are changing, and there is a lot of scumminess there, of course.
If it was past two, that would be crazy.
Deep and interesting discussion around if Unity's even able to do this legally. And I'm not an expert, so of course take this with a grain of salt, but from what I've researched and from what I've read, it is legal to change the license the way they have and then still hold previous products to the same standards of the new license, even though when they made the game that license wasn't the same. It's legal to do that. It's just a morally fucked up thing to do and then enforce it that way retroactively. So there is a lot of nuance to this, and then the whole thing is just a messy fucking disaster. Truly, top to bottom. But I don't think it's illegal per se. But who knows? Maybe it is. I've seen discussions about a potential class action lawsuit from some developers, so I guess we'll see. But the big point here with this graph is that under this new monetization policy, developers can straight up go bankrupt just because their game is succeeding, because this fee is taking more money from the developers than the game they made is making them. So they're literally losing money with more installs. It's tragic. Like, it's unbelievable.
Okay, I looked up games under Unity so far, or I said popular games under Unity. There's Fall Guys, Among Us, the casual Untitled Goose Game. I haven't played that. Momentum Valley, haven't played that. Ori and the Will of Wisp, haven't played that. Cuphead, I've seen videos on it, but I haven't played it. Pokemon Go, played that a little bit. Beat Saber, Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact is with Unity? Oh shit. That's crazy.
And it's not like Unity wouldn't know
Impact was with
Unity has this data. Again, there is no way a Twitter user did more research and more analysis than the company themselves.
Subnautica, Death Store, Gunfire,
they just don't care. They don't give a fuck about it.
Focusing on the casual mobile market, we see this right here. Unity is offering a runtime fee waiver if you switch to Level Play, as it tries to kill AppLovin. Level Play is a service from IronSource. That decision emulates a pattern that began with Twitter, was mirrored by Reddit, and is now making its way through the broader markets. The decision itself appears to be aimed at killing a competing service after Unity actually rejected a buyout offer from that service's owner.
I get what he's saying, right? Like, it would kill other services, but like, what would Twitter kill by doing that? Like, what would I could see Reddit killing something, maybe because there might be something else I'm not thinking about. But what would Twitter kill by doing that? I don't get it.
Favor of a merger with Iron Source, who stands to gain the most from this entire controversy.
I went a little out of order here, but I wanted to save this point for last. So apparently Unity is offering a fee waiver if you switch to the Iron Source service, the level play service.
So you got to use their level play.
The conclusion here, the overall conclusion that Upper Echelon draws from all of this information presented is that Unity is going down the modern tech trend model of the API charges that Twitter and Reddit use and implementing something very similar when it comes to game development in their products. And it
use only
like
our stuff with our stuff.
Killing a competitor that actually offered to buy them out, AppLovin. AppLovin is a service that does directly compete with what Iron Source is offering here, level play. So it does seem like all of this is trying to follow that trend and also trying to destroy that competitor. Now, I highly encourage all of you to go finish Upper Echelon's video because he gets into a lot more of the nitty-gritty here, as well as how developers are combating this currently and what they can do going forward in order to fight back against this kind of unhinged greed. But there are still so many pieces left on the chessboard that Upper Echelon does go through. So I'm going to put a link to his video in the description of this one. I highly encourage you to go check out the rest of it if you want to see even more about it, as well as how deep the rabbit hole goes, because again, there's still a lot more to this, and Upper Echelon does a great job at shedding light on all of it. So yeah, I think it should be pretty clear why so many gamers and pretty much everyone is upset about these Unity changes. This tech trend is not something that people should be celebrating, not that anybody is, but it really is a horrible trend with all of the API pricing changes and now Unity trying to integrate that model into gaming. All of this is a much worse thing for consumers, the average person, in this case, gamers and game developers. It is a bad scenario all around. So this situation is one that I really don't think Unity should ever recover from. The company deserves to fail for this, 100%. This is an impressive level of delusional greed that should absolutely sink this company. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of go over all of this. That's really about it. So yeah.
Yeah. Power. Because that's wild, actually. I might check out the video because I'm kind of interested. But yeah, like, subscribe. See you guys later. Hope you have a good day or night, and bye.